This is Maduro case layout for justice to be made. Point 1. New York Court doesn't have the authority to make international decision or judgment. New York Court didn't question Maduro or call him to make a statement. So anything came from them should not be under consideration unless they got international consensus that they can do international affairs. Point 2. All country leaders should allow making drugs, but in regulatory manner, as God allowed its creation, and He is the one who created it. Material, but the problem is not the drugs, it's how it's been used, and made as drugs should be made safely, and used safely to be sold to people with cautious, and get taxed, and people use it without fearing its safety, and without jeopardizing people's life. So as it's wanted by the people need to be safe to use, by the way it's been made, and supplied, and the money. Don't go to illegal activity, and so nobody use force to make others do what they think they should do, as people are free to do whatever they want unless it harm others intentionally. So allowing making drugs is a very good thing, but needs to be regulated carefully like any other thing, including alcohol. What a hypocrisy if they don't, as drugs not worse than alcohol, if it's been created legally in a safe standard. Point 3. I just simply don't believe that any country leader will order to send drugs to other countries, so claiming that is very ridiculous. Point 4. Many country leaders are dictators, but this matter should be solved diplomatically, as the people have free will to elect the president they want. And he was elected. Nicolas Maduro was elected president of Venezuela, narrowly defeating opposition candidate Enrique Capriles with just a popular vote lead. Even if he was not elected, you need first to make international case against him in international court, that he is against the people's will, and you should prove that he is against the people's will, or simply convince him to adapt democracy. Then if he was against people's will, and didn't adapt democracy, and you got international authorization against his abuse, this is allow for international intervention. Point 5. Trump kidnapped him, and he was asking for his collaboration in the drug trafficking matter, but he refused to get involved in USA military operation against drugs trafficking. So, because he was not in agreement with Trump decided to abuse his power against him, or thought that he has the authority to kidnap another country leader, and that's not all the case. So Trump threatened whoever disagreed with him with punishment, even if it was other countries, like he does locally, and that's a real abuse of power and dictatorship. Let's define dictatorship for a minute. The government system is democratic, but as party affiliation. One party stranded with a president against half of the country, and no one from that party against anything, he says, as they call themselves Republican and think that a dictator is a solution. Then they give him immunity. Then he shit on half of his country, who doesn't want him literally pictured by him. And he just do whatever he want without people consensus, just the people of his party. That's dictatorship on its highest level. Point 6. Trump clearly stated that he is after Venezuela Oil Reserve, which is greed and uncivilized, and stealing it's simply a crime to seize other people's things. And how about other countries, like he want Greenland? So he did the military operation, including this intention, and he want to bribe the people of Venezuela with making them rich, but to have that oil. Point 7. Trump kills drug dealers by military force, while he can stop them by the Coast Guard and bring them to justice. God state killing innocent soul, like killing all the people. So you don't kill a soul if they are not killers, and you are the one who killing. So surprise who should be killed? If someone offered people to jump out a cliff, and they give him money, and they jump, is he a criminal? Off course, not. That's exactly like drugs dealing. Point 8. Is Trump better than Maduro? Trump supported Netanyahu in his genocide in Gaza and wanted to take it as a land for USA, and Netanyahu, off course, encouraged that while he is convicted of genocide by the International Court, and Trump invite him month after month and coordinate with him to strike Iran and other international affairs. And Trump was convicted in his country for many charges, and half of his country don't want him as a leader, and he literally made a video to shit on them. And he is blackmailing other countries by what they need from the USA companies under sanctions name. And he don't listen to half of his country. That's dictatorship and abuse of power. So is he better than Maduro? I know Trump is bad, but I don't know Maduro as much. But he doesn't dictate on what other countries should do and steal their natural resources. and invade them and support genocide and want to take their country after genocide. But so the history knows, Trump said, he made peace in Gaza after international consensus against his support and against Israel genocide by talking to his friend Netanyahu, the war criminal, to stop the war. That was his peace plan. Conclusion: Maduro is innocent until proven guilty, and the judgment should be in the international court. And Trump should be convicted by the international court and local courts for all of those crimes.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are digging into a really complex and, frankly, highly sensitive packet of documents you sent over.
Very sensitive. It's a defense of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
But it's not just a defense. It also levels some profound accusations against former President Donald Trump.
Exactly. So our mission here is just to cut through all that political noise and, impartially map out the core arguments for you.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where does it start?
It starts with a foundational legal challenge. The source immediately questions the authority of the New York Court to even issue a judgment like this.
And what's fascinating is how they do it. It's not just political. It's about legal procedure.
Right. They argue the ruling is invalid because Maduro, he wasn't called to make a statement. It's a procedural objection. They're saying a domestic court can't just police a foreign head of state without due process.
That really sets the frame for the entire defense. But from there, they pivot. And this is where it gets really surprising. The drug issue.
This is a powerful, if, very provocative claim. The source argues for allowing drug production, but in a regulatory manner.
Like alcohol.
Exactly like alcohol. The argument is, look, if drugs are created safely, if they're taxed, and if they don't fund illegal activity, then what's the problem?
They label it hypocrisy, right, to allow alcohol but not regulated drugs.
Total hypocrisy, according to them. And then they just dismiss the central claim that a leader would order drugs sent to another country as very ridiculous.
And that dismissal leads directly into the claims against Trump.
It does. This is the most controversial section. The document alleges Trump abused his power, and it gives a very specific example.
The kidnapping allegation.
Yes. It claims Trump kidnapped Maduro. And the reason? Because Maduro allegedly refused to collaborate on U.S. military drug trafficking operations.
Wow. And they connect that refusal directly to Venezuela's resources.
Oh, absolutely. The source asserts Trump clearly wanted Venezuela's oil reserves. They call it greed and uncivilized.
There's even an allegation that Trump offered to, bribe the Venezuelan people for access to that oil.
That's the claim, promising wealth in exchange for the oil.
So from those specific acts, the source then tries to sort of redefine the terms.
Right. It offers its own definition of dictatorship. It describes a system where one U.S. party supports a president acting only with party consensus, not popular consensus.
And they call that dictatorship on its highest level.
Exactly. And sticking with that theme, they also critique how the U.S. handles drug enforcement.
They talk about Trump's use of military force to kill drug dealers, arguing the Coast Guard should be used instead to, bring them to justice.
And to make their point about who's really culpable, they use this truly wild analogy.
The one about the cliff.
That's it. Comparing drug dealing to offering people money to jump off a cliff, the source insists it's not criminal unless you're intentionally harming someone. It's a very strange legal argument about free will.
So all of this builds to what final conclusion?
A comprehensive indictment of Trump. It lists accusations from supporting genocide in Gaza to domestic convictions to blackmailing countries with sanctions.
And the final verdict, according to this document?
It's that Maduro is innocent until proven guilty in an international court, while Trump, they argue, should be convicted both internationally and locally.
So when you boil it all down, what does this mean for you, the listener?
We've analyzed a set of arguments that use the power imbalance between nations as a shield. The core message is, you can't charge us until you address your own alleged abuses.
It's an attempt to redefine everything, sovereignty, crime, dictatorship, all through these really aggressive counterclaims.
So here's the final thought to chew on. Considering the source's insistence on international consensus and the will of the people, what are the inherent limits of one nation's courts to police the actions of foreign heads of state? It's a question worth exploring.